Morning, everyone. Today's session is on working in teams. My name is Shazia Khan, and the learning outcome we're doing today is learning outcome 3, which is to understand how to work in a team. But before we go on to learning outcome 3, I just want to give you a summary of the last learning outcome we did, which was learning outcome 2, which we looked at understanding leadership and motivation when working in teams. We looked at the different leadership theories, things like McGregor, Great Main, situational theory, contingency theory, transactional theory, transformational theory. We looked at Maslow's, the principles of working relationships. We also looked at the importance of working in a team and how to work in a team. So, you have people that are charismatic people, that leaders that work in a good team. We looked at the different leadership styles and how often, people have different styles of learning. We looked at the servant leaders, the democratic leaders. We looked at the relationship in regards to the key principles of effective teamwork, things like motivation, productivity, transparency, the communication is really important. It's one of the major skills and principles of a good working relation in regards to working within a team. We also looked at how empowering employees and delegating them, giving them autonomy and giving them the chance to make decisions, increases productivity, but works well within a team. We also went to look at the issue of motivation and inspiration, how effective leaders can motivate and inspire their team members to perform, to the best, but also recognize any sort of achievements they've done. We also looked at another important part of working in a team is conflict resolution, how someone would handle conflict if it was to occur, whether they would address this promptly or, facilitate any sort of negotiation, open dialogue. We looked at decision making, so effective leaders make timely and informed decisions. We then went on to look at adaptability and flexibility within effective leaders and how flexibility works within a good leadership. We then went on to look at effective leaders. They lead by example, so demonstrating values, behavior, integrity. Also, another important aspect of teamwork for a leader is things like, identifying that you are working towards, having a good attitude towards your team members, but also your behavior, your professionalism, accountability is really, really important within that concept. Team building and development, so how effective leaders prioritize team development, fostering collaborative team culture. We also looked at, continuously improving, so making sure there's opportunities for development. And then we went on to look at how team leaders motivate teams to encourage positive working relations, so setting clear goals, opportunities for growth, recognition and reward, and that's a big one that people, appreciate as well. Empowerment, autonomy, effective communication, like we mentioned, having transparent communication between them, listening to their concerns and their ideas, implementing them ideas, and, leading by examples and, trying to celebrate any sort of success. So if anything's been met to perform, try to implement that success, motivate the teams, foster a positive working relationship, and be supportive. So now we're going to go on to learning outcome 3, which is looking at understanding how to work in a team. So, it's important to identify, firstly, what the indicative content is. So in regards to learning outcome 3, we're going to understand how to work in a team, identify their own role within a team. So Belbin, resource, investigator, team working and coordinator, the social roles, plant, monitor, evaluator, and specialist, the thinking roles, and the shaper, so implementing and completer, the finisher, the action or task roles. And then we're going to be looking at conflict and conflict resolution, formal and informal leadership in teams, and reflection of your own contributions. So the key terminology, how do you ensure you work well in a team? So teamwork, as we mentioned, is a vital part of any sort of workplace. You know, it's the teams are formed deliberately and carefully to meet work needs, you know. So although many people are called teams, not every work group is a team. Teams, you know, they work together effectively and share their workload. Learning how to work in a team can be important for their career. You know, it's important. There's different types of teams. You have project teams, you have, you know, teams that are formed for a particular task, you know, so there are different types of teams, you know, and you know, how to ensure your team works well is that, you know, your team is able to you know, work clearly to the defined roles and responsibilities, you know, and have this empowering experience as well. You know, high performing teams overcome any sort of obstacles. You know, their responsibilities is to refer to tasks, in fact, more clearly so rather than confusing. How to manage workplace conflict. So a skillful manager with good conflict resolution can successfully resolve tense situations. And, you know, listen, because it's so important to listen and be heard as well for individuals. There's a video there that looks at what conflict resolution is, so you can look at that in your own time in regards to it. Now we'll go on to 3.1, which is to look at analysing the roles you and others have adopted in teams and the ways in which you have managed teamwork in situations. So analysing the roles adopted in teams and the management of team working issues involves reflection on your personal experience as well as an observation of others' behaviour within a teams. And here's how to approach this analysis. So it's really important that, you know, you look at reflecting on your own personal experiences of working in a team and also looking at others' behaviours, because sometimes it's difficult to work with different people, but it's good to work in a team to, you know, try to enhance and to, you know, allow people to have their own ideas. So identifying roles. So reflect on the roles, reflect on what roles you've been given. So it's important to reflect on any roles you've been given and what is the relevance of them roles. So reflect on your roles and others adopted in the teams. So you've been part of. These roles may include, you know, leadership roles, task-oriented roles, relationship building roles, or problem-solving roles. So it depends on the type of team you've been put in and how to identify these roles, because it's important. Consider the responsibilities you're associated with each role. So each role has a responsibility, you know, and you need to organize meetings, delegate tasks, facilitate communication, and resolve any sort of conflicts. So, you know, it's very important to identify priorities as well, understanding, you know, what each person will be doing, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and what, you know, skills they have to do that job. Reflecting on personal roles. So analyze your own contribution to the team. What role do you typically assume? Are you more focused on completing tasks? Are you more focused on building relationships or providing a leadership? You know, so you need to identify what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what you are there to do as well. You know, it's looking at, you know, your own responsibility, your own contribution, how you will prioritize things. Observe others' roles. So in this one, you will observe the roles adopted by other members. How do they behave and what are their actions and their overall performance? Consider different roles, complement each other and contribute to the team's effectiveness. Now, if you contribute and, you know, you make sure that the team works well today, you will have positive, you know, collaboration between other team members. Analyze team working issues. So reflect on any challenges or issues that have arisen during collaboration. These may include conflicts, you know, how to handle conflicts, any sort of communication breakdown, because not everyone is the same. Everyone has different ideas, and some people tend to have different behaviors, and skills, task delegation problems, or lack of accountability. Identify the root causes of these issues. Are they related to interpersonal dynamics, unclear goals, inadequate communication skills, or different expectations? So it's really, really important, firstly, that you understand your team members and how you want to motivate them, but how you want to give them the role you have given them and delegate role, because you should know what their skills and strengths are. Management strategies. Evaluate the strategies used to manage team working issues. So how were conflicts resolved? What communication strategies were employed to address misunderstandings? Consider the effectiveness of leadership in guiding the team through challenges and facilitating resolution. Reflect on your own contributions to manage the team working issues. Did you take initiative to address issues? Did you facilitate any sort of discussion with them or support your teammates? The main, and I think the most important thing I think in any sort of team is to make sure that you are, supporting your teammates, because they're the ones that you're gonna effectively do the work and try to identify any sort of issues around that. Lessons learned. So reflect on your lessons learned from experiences working in teams. What insights have you gained about effective teamwork, like your roles and communication? Identify areas for personal growth. So if there's any personal growth, any sort of training contributions that are needed for future teams, or any sort of skills that are needed, you need to be able to reflect on them. By systematically analysing roles adopted in teams and the management of team working issues, you can gain a valuable insight into effective teamwork dynamics and identify any sort of areas for personal and collective improvement. So, maybe all of need to go on a team building training or communication, anything in regards to that, which would, identify that, you are able to, reflect on what's going on. This reflection process can inform future team collaboration and contribute to open learning and development. So the more training you send your staff on will help you. 3D1. Analyze the leadership style required for a specific team leader in a named organization. So to analyze the leadership style required for a specific team leader in a named organization, let's consider a hypothetical scenario. So organizations XYZ Tech Solutions, team leader Emily Johnson, and the production team development team at XYZ Tech Solutions. The team is responsible for designing and developing new software ideas. The team consists of software developers, designers, and quality assurance engineers. So we're going to look at a hypothetical kind of organization and look at this in regards to the leadership styles. So there are many different leadership styles, and it's important to identify which leadership style kind of helps you as well, as an individual. And the first one we're going to look at is transformational leadership. And here, this transformational leadership is a leadership style that can inspire positive changes in those who follow it. Transformational leaders are generally energetic, enthusiastic, and passionate. They are not only are these leaders concerned and involved in the process, they're also focused on helping every member of the group succeed. In this case, Emily needs to inspire and motivate her team to innovate and create cutting-edge software products. Transformational leadership involves articulating a compelling vision, setting high expectations, and empowering team members to achieve these excellence, as I've just stated. As the technology evolves rapidly, Emily's transformational leadership style should encourage creativity, experimentation, and adaptation to change. She should foster a culture of continuous learning and improvement within the team. So, Emily should take control of situations. She should have a clear vision of the group's goal. And Emily, as a leader, should have a marked passion for her work and ability to make the rest of the group feel recharged and energized, because transformational leaders focus on helping members of the group support one another and provide them with support, guidance, and inspiration. They need to work hard, perform well, and stay loyal to the group. And that's what Emily needs to do in regards to transformational leadership. The next one we're going to look at, which is one that's used quite commonly as well, which is servant leadership. And this leadership is, as a servant leader, you're a servant first. You focus on the needs of others, especially team members, before you consider your own. In this instance, you acknowledge other people's perspectives, give them the support they need, and work personal goals, involve them in decisions where appropriate, and build a sense of community within your team. And that's what Emily needs to do as well. Given the technical nature of the work and the expertise of her team members, Emily should adopt a servant leadership approach. Servant leaders prioritize the needs of the team, as I mentioned, providing support, resources, and guidance to help them succeed. And this is a really good leadership, process that is used with a lot of organizations. Emily should facilitate collaboration and teamwork, ensuring that her team members have the tools and support they need to excel in their roles. She should listen actively to their concerns, provide mentorship and coaching, and remove obstacles that hinder any sort of progress. Servant leadership is not a leadership style of technique as such, rather it's a way of behaving that you adopt over the longer term. It complements democratic leadership styles and has similarities to transformational leadership, which we spoke about earlier. Any employees within like a servant leadership environment are more likely to feel comfortable and, more likely to feel that their voices are being heard. So, it's really important, because the whole point of the servant leadership is to achieve a vision by providing like strong support to your employees. So Emily needs to look at providing strong support to her employees to identify, that they have a strong working ethic as well. The next one is democratic leadership. And democratic leadership, which is commonly known as participative leadership, is about letting multiple people participate in decision-making process. This type of leadership can be seen in a wide range of contexts, from businesses to schools to the government. So Emily, in this instance, should involve her team members in decision-making processes related to project planning, resource allocation, and problem solving. Democratic leadership encourages participation, collaboration, and ownership among team members. By soliciting input and feedback from their team, Emily can leverage the diverse perspectives and expertise of her team members to make informed decisions and drive innovation in the product development. So they are there to participate, let multiple people participate, and it works in different, democratic leaders also need to empower their members to make sort of smart decisions. It also encourages people to take on shared responsibility, which is a great way of achieving and becoming more, of a decision maker, critical thinking. So it's a good way of, in today's workplace, a lot of democratic leadership is widely accepted and practiced, so a lot of people tend to use it. So it's a good leadership to have. So, Emily should be using that as well in regards to her working environment. The next one we're going to look at is the visionary leadership. So visionary leadership, this concept of applying and adopting various leadership styles was looking at like the vision to look at visionary coaching, affiliation, democratic. So how the most effective leaders embrace all the 6 elements. Visionary style is your own style. It can leave your team a little bit confused, and their priorities searching for vital details. So it can be critical for visionary leaders to balance their style and surround themselves, with fellow directors, managers, or team leads, so it can be integrated. Emily should have a clear vision for the future of the product development at XYZ Tech Solutions. Visionary leaders involves communicating compelling vision and inspiring others to work towards their shared goals. Emily's vision should align with the organization's strategic objectives and market trends. She should communicate the vision effectively to her team, rallying their support and commitment to achieving success. Visionary leaders can often see what no one else can see, finding potential and opportunity in a time of change or even company contradiction. They see what's not there or what's not there yet. So, visionary leaders, an example of a visionary leader, which was about 40 years ago, is it was a visionary leader called Jack Carl, who trademarked the duct tape brand or duct tape and became the first to manufacture it in a variety of colours. Today, duct tape comes in fluorescent patterns and even customization prints that creative DIYers use to make wallets, flowers, and even dresses. So a visionary leadership style kind of embraces the unknown as a blank canvas for innovation, experimentation, and pioneering new possibilities in order to cast that larger vision for a team or organization. That often means having the ability to look at the situation, whether it's an organizational restructure or diminishing product sales in different light, even where there seems to be no light at all. So it's really important, to have that vision and be able to recognize that individuals collectively, they must be able to align with that vision. So they must have a clear goal and understand their role in making that vision a reality. So, it's really important when it comes to a visionary leader. They want to make that vision into a reality. So a visionary leader also ensures that the vision becomes reality by stating the goals, as we mentioned, outlining a strategic plan, and by achieving those goals and empowering other members to take action and work, to a good level, but working at visionary, encouraging innovation. The next one we're going to look at is adaptive leadership. In conventional leadership models, one or a few people are in charge. Adaptive leaders, though, tap into everyone's beliefs and ideas, not just the leaders as an organization. This approach also helps people evolve those beliefs in the face of each new challenge and opportunity. In a fast-paced, and in regards to Emily's situation, in a fast-paced and dynamic industry like technology, Emily needs to be adaptable and responsive to change. Adaptive leadership involves adjusting strategies and approaches based on evolving circumstances and challenges. So Emily should monitor market trends, any sort of customer feedback about any sort of new technology and technological advances, so the changes in technology, and her leadership style and priorities accordingly. She should be willing to take calculated risks and pivot strategies where necessary to ensure the team's success. So it's really important that, she identifies, what things, monitors the trends of the market with taking into account any sort of changes, new changes, but also taking into account customer feedback, because that's the one thing that will, identify issues around, adaptive leadership. So adaptive leadership was pioneered in the 1990s and early 2000s. Authors Reynold Hefts and Marty Linkisey and Alexander Grayshaw established its core principles. But because of the working lives are getting more complex, adaptive leadership feels more relevant than ever. So there are 4 principles of adaptive leadership. The whole point of the adaptive leadership is that it dictates what we need to adapt to grow, both as individuals and organizations. And it looks at emotional intelligence, it looks at the organizational justice, it looks at the development and the character of the individual. You know, they are adaptive leaders shine in the face of complex challenges. So they like challenges are work for them. So they like the challenge, things like technical challenges. They like to, you know, for example, I'll give you an example. In a hospital setting, a patient requires multiple high-risk surgeries. On a design team, a client who wants a vibrant, colorful website that still feels mature is an adaptive challenge. Adaptive challenges are unexpected, more complex and multifaceted, which impacts reaching across an organization. So, you know, there are another example is after major industry disruption, a core product becomes obsolete. After the company is acquired by a competitor, 20% of the staff are laid off, and you must salvage culture, morale. So, you know, adaptive leadership is really important but complex, and there are challenges with this in it. But the more adaptive challenges they have, they can deal with them well. So, in conclusion, by incorporating elements of transformational, servant, democratic, visionary, and adaptive leadership, Emily Johnson can effectively lead the product development team at XYZ Tech Solutions. Her leadership style should empower her team members, foster innovation, and drive the organizational towards achieving its strategic objectives in the competitive technology market. So it's really important when Emily takes this into account and you know, tries to lead her team in XYZ, she needs to bear in mind that there are different elements that she must incorporate from different leadership styles. You know, she could be a transformational, she could be a servant leader, a democratic, but each needs to be implemented into her style, because she needs to be able to identify that she's using them to lead her team, but also to implement, you know, good structures and, you know, skills. And, you know, she needs to identify that whether the workers that she's got, the team, that they need more development, they need more skills. You know, she needs to be adapting to change, but also taking on, if we look at the other sorts of elements of the leadership, she needs to be taking on, you know, other people's ideas. You know, like things like, you know, if you look at transformational leadership, she needs to be actively listening to them. She needs to be open-minded as well. You know, she needs to look at their, you know, trying to identify, collaborating with them. You know, she needs to be willing to take well-informed risks. You know, and we've got some examples of transformational leaderships by people, quite famous people. And the one that I wanted to mention in regards to, you know, when looking at Emily's situation, Barack Obama, he was a transformational leader, where the former US president was known for his transformational approach by running his administration, as well as his unifying, motivating, and hopeful communication style. Another example is Nelson Mandela, the former president of South Africa, was famous for serving as a source of authentic inspiration, and he was a great inspiration for people all over the countries. Oprah Winfrey, the media mogul, who's famous for her charismatic, visionary, and inspirational leadership style. Another one, a quite famous one, is Steve Jobs. He was famous for his visionary leadership and transformed Apple into a leader in the technology. So, you know, there are so many examples out there that people can use to help them. So we've now concluded with learning outcome 3 and finished learning outcome 3 and looked at Emily in regards to XYZ Tech Solutions and the leadership styles, and looked at the importance of leadership. These are the references we've used for today's session, which are Northhouse Leadership Theory and Practice, Yulk Leadership in Organization, Goldman, Primal Leadership, House, RJ, the Social Scientific Study of Leadership, Avolio, the Full Range of Leadership Development, Dicey, DC, What and Why of Goal Pursuits, Human Needs and the Self-Determination of Behavior, Podscoff, Transformational Leaders' Behavior and the Effects on Followers. We've also looked at Hackman, motivation through the design of work. Hertzberg, one more time, how do you motivate employees? So, you know, the issue about motivation. Vroom, work and motivation. McLaren, human motivation. Kirkpatrick, leadership. So these kind of elements of references and sources that we've used to complete learning outcome 3 will help you towards doing your assignment. Please, again, refer to ebooks and journals on Moodle for additional reading. Any sort of further reading you can do in regards to working in teams. There will be additional sources on Moodles that you can refer to and do that in your own time. If you have any questions in regards to the working in teams module, kindly email learnerwork@ukvarsity.co.uk. Also, once the module is completed, so we've got learning outcome 4 to do, and then the assignment discussion, submission of the assignment to be done on learnerwork@ukvarsity.co.uk, and it's normally 2 weeks after the unit has been completed. Thank you for attending today's session, and thank you, and I will see you in the next session.